What are the 5 best practices that you can apply to your church's website to make it the most effective ministry tool that you have? We're going to talk about that today on CTA Live. Hey guys, welcome to another intrepid episode of CTA Live. My name is Dave Curley, and I am the founder of Church Training Academy Live. And if you're just joining us, we've not met. Church Training Academy Live Church Training Academy is a website and community where we are learning together how to use and exploit digital media. And that includes podcasting, live streaming, Instagram, social media marketing, video marketing, all that sort of stuff. We are learning how to use and exploit those tools in order to fulfill the Great Commission. And today, as always, I've got my lovely and talented partner. This is Mr. Justin Nava. Hello, buddy.
Hey guys, how's it going? Appreciate you watching live and appreciate you listening to this after the fact. And I have to say this right now, get it off my chest. Go Astros, World Series champions.
How about that?
Get that out there.
How about that? Did you stay up last night and watch the show?
I did. I've been staying up every night. I've been a monster in the morning, drinking tons of coffee and eating tons of donuts. Don't tell my wife.
So much for the diet, huh?
I'm back on it today. I'm back on the wagon. It's finally done. I can stop stress eating. I am so excited. And any LA Dodger fans out there, I'm sorry. Maybe next time. But Eventually, someday, the rebellion has to defeat the evil empire.
That's right. And frankly, the Dodgers have had like 6 World Series. So we've never had one in the 56 years or so of Astro history. So Go Astros. That was awesome. That was a fun game to watch. Boy, and that game 5 the other night, man, that was amazing. Some of the best baseball I've ever seen. Okay, so close parentheses on that. Hey, before we get started, we are going to, today we're going to be talking about the 5 best practices you can do on your church's website. And I have yet to come across a church website that is absolutely hitting on all cylinders. So I know everybody can improve their website and reach more people, both internally and externally. That's what we're going to share today. Before we do that, I want to share this week's tooltip. Tooltip, I don't know if I like the phrase tooltip. I don't know if that's what we should be calling these or not. Tech tool, app tool, I don't know. I keep saying the word tool and it's lost all meaning now. Lost all meaning completely. I want to show you a really cool conferencing tool. It's a video conferencing tool. It's called Zoom, and it is built on the Google Hangouts platform. That's what the back end of it is. Zoom allows you to host meetings. It lets you do video conferences. It lets you do, you can actually do webinars with Zoom. That's one of the cool things that they do. But what Zoom is basically a video conferencing platform, and it lets you host a meeting and then have one person in it or hundreds of people in it or thousands of people in it, which is really cool. So how would something like this apply to a church? I would use Zoom if I were a church. I would use Zoom for doing meetings. Okay, Justin is in the is in the position where he's not a full-time staff member at his church. He is a lay pastor. They have several different people in their ministry that contribute to the ministry, but maybe aren't on staff or physically there. So doing a staff meeting or doing a leadership meeting may be really hard for them to do, for everybody to get all their schedules coordinated so that on Wednesday night after Bible study, they're all there to do it. What they can do is they can actually use Zoom. So like say the pastor could host a Zoom meeting, then send out a link to everybody that's on the leadership team. They all join, and it's 7:30 at night on a Monday night. And while they can't physically be together, they can be together in Zoom. And it's really cool because you can share your screen if the pastor has notes he wants to share. If the Sunday school director has notes they want to share, anything like that, you can do it all through Zoom. And if you're a paid member, and their membership start at like $15 a month or something, if you're a paid member, you can actually record these things and then you can share it with someone who's not there so they can actually join the meeting. So Zoom is a really cool tool. And actually, Justin and I are using Zoom for our office hours with our CTA members. So what does that mean? That means that if you're a CTA member, Church Training Academy Insider, if you're a paid member, then every other week, what we're doing is doing a Zoom meeting with our members so that they can ask anything. It's kind of like group coaching, basically, what we're doing. Any questions that they have, they can bring them to the meeting and say, hey, how do I get, how do I, let's say they're live streaming. How do I get live streaming in OBS to work? How do I get things to get a scene to show the Bible and the pastor. I can then share my screen and go straight into OBS, which is the software that I'm using here for the live broadcast, and show them how to do it. And they can learn how to do it. And I can record that. And then I can share that with our other membership in the membership archives or the training archives on our website. So zoom.us, go to zoom.us and you can grab it. Like I said, it has a free plan, which is really cool. You can do a 45-minute conference on Zoom for free, and then you'll have to start that conference over again and invite people, but you can do up to 45 minutes for free with up to 100 participants. And then if you go with the pro plan for like $15, then you can have 100 participants and you can have unlimited meeting durations and all that. It's great. I really love Zoom. Have you used Zoom before, Justin?
I have on a couple of occasions. It's a great way too if you just can't get everyone in your building for something like a training. Every year now our church has to have a child safety training. We can absolutely do it through Zoom. So I mean, the possibilities are endless. And Dave, do you know about TechSoup?
TechSoup? I've heard of TechSoup.
TechSoup.org.
Yeah.
They do special nonprofit pricing, and Zoom is a part of that.
Oh,
so
cool.
You and I, we have to pay almost $200 a year for us to use Zoom for business purposes. Nonprofits get a 50% discount.
Oh.
So churches can pay as little as $75 for the pro plan per year.
That is awesome.
If you're interested, I mean, try out the free plan. But if you're interested, go to TechSoup and check it out because they have the different subscriptions as well, but the lowest one is 50% off. It's an amazing deal. So if it does work for you, if it is something that you're interested in, then get it from there because you'll get it for 50%.
Fantastic. That is awesome. Okay. So that is our tech tip for the week. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about the 5 best practices for your website. Now, Justin, I know that you're very heavy into web design and into the most effective usage of a church's website. I know it's one of your passions. Where live streaming and publishing and podcasting and stuff are sort of my bailiwick. I know that web and communications are yours. So you want to give me your first one here?
Yeah, we're talking about the 5 best practices for your church's website. Now, before we get started, you have to understand this. You have to learn this because especially if you're a techie guy like I am or like Dave is, you want to get so hung up on the tools. This is the best platform or this is the best color. You want to get hung up on the details, and the details are important once you get to a certain point. But the number one reason that websites, or specifically the number one reason that church websites fail is because they lack strategy. We spend so much time thinking about the platform, the color, the tools, the plugins, the themes, the CMS, the host. All those things are important, but the number one thing is the strategy. It's knowing how you're going to use it and who you want to use it for. And so that's going to take me into my number one best practice tip is you need to know who you want to reach with your websites. Okay. Now, I know as churches, we want to reach everyone. We want to serve everyone in our community and even to the ends of the earth. And that is a noble cause. And I would never take that away from you. However, your church, your individual church, my individual church is only equipped to serve certain people. For example, we are a bilingual church. We really heavily lean towards English, but we have Spanish classes and Spanish translations available. What you will not find at our church is Korean translation or Korean classes because we are not equipped for that. And that's the same reason why when you go to our website, you do not see a Korean translation of our website because we are not equipped to reach those people. There is another church in our town that does Korean services and it's basically is a Korean speaking church. So just the same way that you may not have a Korean speaking service because you're not equipped to that, you want to make sure that your website really dials in to the people that you are absolutely equipped to serve. For most churches, that's going to be families because you have a children's ministry, a youth ministry, and a young adult ministry or whatever. You really want to think about who you want to reach and speak into that specific person. Now, does that mean that you're leaving other people in the dust? It does not. I want you to think about advertising. I want you to compare McDonald's to Taco Bell. McDonald's advertising is very much family. It's a place to come and be, it originated with basically it's a meal mom can pick up and bring home, and the family can still eat together without mom having to slave over the stove, especially when women really heavily entered the workforce. McDonald's was there for those families to say, hey, you're working, you get off work, come by McDonald's and get your home. Now get home and eat. Now think about Taco Bell. Taco Bell is really advertised geared towards, man, I can't speak. Taco Bell's advertisement is really geared towards young adults. Okay. You see teenagers in advertisements eating Taco Bell, teenagers hanging out at Taco Bell, eating, young adults, college age, their advertisement. They even have the late night menu for college kids, right? Because, they want to really gear towards that. And of course the dollar menu as well. They have a very vast dollar menu because young people, we have no money. We're paying off our student loans. Now, does that mean that, Dave, you, a married man with two kids, can't eat at Taco Bell, that you're not welcome there?
No, of course not. And
Absolutely
for the
not.
record, I'm really craving Taco Bell right now. Thanks.
You're welcome. And that does not mean that a single person, a young teenager, can't go eat at McDonald's, but they really focus in because that's who they want to be known for. Taco Bell is the place where, teenagers can come and hang out and have, cheap food that gets the job done. McDonald's wants to be a place, where you can bring your kids. They have a play place. They have a vast menu where you can bring your family or take it home quick because you get off of work. You just drive through, pick up your food and take it home to be with your family. Now, that doesn't mean that those other people can't take part, but they focus in on that because that's who they're equipped to serve. McDonald's has play places. They want to serve families. So they really focus in on that. So don't try to make your website for everyone because you might end up bringing in people you're not equipped to serve. And that just creates a bad image for you. If you don't have a fully function, and I don't know many churches that don't, but if you don't have a fully functioning children's and youth ministry, then maybe on your website, don't say, this is a place where families can come. Because if I bring my kids, because this is a family place and there's no place for me to take my 4-year-old, or that creates a bad image. So really focus in on who you want to be. Who are you trying to reach and who are you most equipped to reach? If you have a bustling children's ministry and bustling youth ministry, then absolutely do that. If you're really a small group church and you really want to reach into the blue collared workers of your town, then show that on your website. We're hardworking people living life together, and show that on your website in multiple places where it's just people that are normal people, that are hardworking, and we want to live a good life and we want to provide for our children. And one of the ways we do that is setting a good example for them by coming to church or something like that, and you really focus in on that. And if you're a bilingual church, then have a Spanish translation available of your website, or a second website for, I don't recommend that, but a second website for, just for Spanish speaking families or something like that. So really know who you want to reach and dial into that pain point. We want to reach families. One of my favorite websites I've ever done is for a church that lived. Their whole purpose was to reach families that have been burned on religion before. That was it. If their program wasn't welcoming to people who have been burned in the church, they did not do it. They did not start that program. And so, right at the top, it would say, we are normal people and we care about you. That was their number one thing. And all throughout their website, it was, we care about you. You are welcome here. Pictures of, we'll talk about pictures later, but pictures of people with tattoos, because, there is no eternal scarring that God cannot overcome, something like that. So really know who you want to reach and really dial into that. Now that takes us to number 2. The rest of them won't be as long as that one, but that one's super important. That's the strategy that you need to figure out is, who do you want to reach? Who does your website need to speak to? Okay. Really dial into that.
That's the foundation. That is the foundation.
Right.
If you're not speaking to the right people, then you're not getting the right message across. And it's that simple. Is your church website predominantly to feed the existing flock, or is it to bring new people in, or is it both? And how do you handle that? You got to be able to have the appropriate message, and also message to the internal people at your church, the members, that the website is the front-facing website is to reach new people. And here's where you go if you are currently a member. You go to members.tatesprings.com or something like that to get all the announcements and events and all that sort of stuff. So you're right, that strategy, if that is not at the core in the very beginning stages, then everything you do is going to be wrong from that point forward.
Exactly. You're always just hammering in the point and being so blunt about it. It's wrong. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
Now, once you do know who you're talking to, if you want to reach people that are moving, if your website is for people that are moving in and, maybe you don't have a guest ministry, maybe you don't have the best facilities, and if new people come in, they're going to be turned off and you're working on it, then maybe you need to focus your message on that. Or if you are 100% focused on reaching people, you have a dynamic guest ministry, you really want to get new people, then you focus your marketing and your website on that. Now, number 2 is you need to plan a journey for your visitors, your website visitors, to take once they're on your website. I hope that most churches know that when they get a person first through the door, they know the first thing I want you to do is fill out a connect card or a connection card, whatever. That's step 1. Then we're going to contact you, hopefully get you plugged into a small group or a Bible study or whatever you want to call it. That's step 2. And then hopefully step 3 through that is eventual conversion, salvation, acceptance, and then baptism. And then step 4 is get involved in. So you have kind of a membership journey that you want your new visitors to eventually take. Now, there's different ways to do that, but that's kind of the general what everyone kind of wants. Think about this. You want the same thing for your church website. Now, I'm not saying conversion through your church website, but you want people to you want to map out kind of where you want people to go on your church website. So the number one thing you need, and this is unfortunately still hasn't caught on with the church websites, is you need to tell your people, you need to tell your website visitors what you want them to do. It's the same thing as if I said, hey, there's a church down the street. Okay, thanks, Phil. Have a good day. But you would say, hey, there's a church down the street. They meet Sunday nights at 6. I'm going. Do you want to go with me? Let's figure this out. Who's driving? Where's it at? What are we doing for dinner? You kind of, when you invite someone, you don't just tell them there's a church down the street. You actually make plans. And so you want to kind of get an idea of what's the first thing I want my website visitors to do when they come on that website. Now, the answer is different for many churches. There's many different, and we go into this with the church website course that's coming out this month. But real quick, let me highlight some of them. You can plan a visit. That's a very popular one. So it says, welcome to Vertical Community Church. We're saving a seat for you. And then there's a big button, big yellow or red or orange button that says plan your first visit. That's telling me as a website visitor, I'm here. Oh, I can plan my visit. I can see what their location is, what their times are, where to park, where do kids go. I can do advanced check-in. Whatever you want people to know ahead of time, that's what you're telling them to do. Now, maybe you don't want it that. Maybe you want someone to watch a sermon or listen to a sermon as their first step. You might think, we have an amazing preacher. We have a dynamic preacher that really moves people. God's moving through him. And, if someone would just hear a sermon, I know they would want to come to church. So that's what you put up first. Welcome to Vertical Community Church. We're saving a seat for you. Preview a sermon or watch a sermon. And then that takes them to when they click that button, it takes them to a page where they can actually watch the most recent sermon, or doesn't have to be the most recent sermon. It could be your best sermon. Dave, remember when we used to do visitor packets and we would copy CDs to put in packets for people to put. Yeah. Did we always create new CDs every week with the most recent sermon?
No, it was usually.
I think at one point our sermon CD was 2 years old. I think that's as old as it got. And then finally the pastor was like, we need to renew this. But
it was a very effective CD or DVD showcasing.
Yes, it was a sermon. The pastor said that was a good sermon. That's one I want people to hear.
Right.
And so it doesn't have, when you do watch a sermon, it doesn't have to go to the most recent one, to the generic sermon page. You can have a specific page in your website where it shows, this is the sermon I want to hear. And maybe it's not the whole sermon. Maybe it's a 10-minute clip. And then below that, you can have more information about, hey, did you like this? Hear more this Sunday at 11. Here's our directions and all that. Maybe you want people to get plugged into a small group, or maybe you've taken the time to collect stories and you want people to, again, you think if people could just hear the stories of our church, they would want to come. So maybe your call to action is, welcome to Vertical Community Church. We're saving a seat for you. See our members' stories, or watch a story, or see what we're about. And they click on that and it takes them to see how God's moving through your church to impact these people. The point is, you need to have a plan for them to take and then guide them through that to an eventual way where you can collect their information. So let me give you just 3 real quick ones. Is number 1, plan a visit. Okay, I click on plan a visit. I go to a plan a visit page. I hope you can see me. I'm trying to I'm doing a whole bunch of things with my arms. I hope I'm just not throwing my arms out at you. But the plan a visit page, and then maybe there's a kids advanced check-in, ahead of time check-in. They can click on, I have kids, I want to check my kids in ahead of time. So I click on that button and it takes me to a way where I can check in advance or give you my information, because bringing your kid to a church for the first time is like doing your taxes. You got to sit down and do all this paperwork. And if I can save that time on a Sunday morning, I will do that. Now, maybe it's watch a sermon. If the first thing they do on your website is watch a sermon, they go to a page to watch a sermon. Then maybe below that, there's information to schedule a coffee with the pastor, if you have the option for that, or schedule a phone call from the pastor, learn more about the pastor. So you have a contact form there. And then maybe they're just clicking around and they click on, watch a story, and you have a story from a youth member. And then you have a button that says learn about the youth ministry. They click on that. They go to the youth page. They see all the information about the youth page. And at the bottom, there's a form that says have questions or need special accommodations. They can fill that out and get in contact with you. Now, not only does that get them in contact with you where you can, then call them back or whatever they need, but it also gives them a way to give you their email usually, so you can nurture the relationship to get them aboard. And Dave's going to talk about that next. So really think about what you want them to do. Don't just wait for them to decide to come. That could never come, and most likely will never come. But if you guide them along your website, plan a visit, advanced check-in, or watch a sermon, meet the pastor, or watch a story, learn more about the youth, that eventually ends up at a contact form that can really guide them. You're almost just motioning them through your website. So you're not waiting for them to randomly and needlessly click on something. You're actually guiding them to take the direction that you want them to take. So contact form is a really simple one, but Dave, you have another one that is up and coming, and it's really worked for businesses in the marketing world, and It absolutely can work in the churches. Go for it.
Yeah. Building on what you said, one of the things that we've been doing for years in the corporate world and in infotainment and such is, I mentioned it actually during the pre-show, it's called a lead magnet. And what that is something, okay? It could be a booklet, it could be a PDF, it could be a short Bible study series, or something that is created specifically, by the pastor or a specific ministry there, a course, a learn how to share your faith course, something that you are giving away, that you are giving access to in exchange for an email address. What that does is it gives something of value to the person visiting your website, and then in exchange, they give you their email address. And then what that allows you to do is to begin a nurturing relationship via email with that person. And doing it in the traditional proper way would be to have a series of emails set up that are basically a getting to know you kind of email sequence, where maybe there's a message from the pastor that goes out after they get the PDF downloaded, the pastor's booklet on heaven or something. When they get that, then the next day they may get a personal email from the pastor that says, "Hey, my name is Jared Woman. I'm the lead pastor at Tay Springs Baptist Church, and I just wanted to reach out and say hi and see how you're doing and let you know that that we're glad that you visited our website. And I thought maybe I would share a few things that have been on my heart recently, and then the pastor talks a little bit about himself and maybe introduces the church to a degree. Then maybe a couple of days later, there's another email that goes out that says, "Hey, we're doing this week, and we'd love for you to come and join us." Or, tell us about yourself. Where do you live? What do you have children? Asking a couple of leading questions that allow the person to hit reply and give some information of some kind. Just tell their salvation experience, or tell what they're looking for, or where they work, or just something to basically initiate a conversation. Now, this part right here is really crucial, because somebody needs to be monitoring those emails. And I say that it should be the pastor or the person that's in charge of outreach or something. I like the idea of it coming from the pastor because the pastor is the forward-facing figurehead of the church. And so if there is if they're receiving a reply from the email from the pastor, then that goes a long way. And when I say it's crucial, when they hit reply and they say, "Yeah, my name is Dave, and I do video production, and my wife and I have been looking for a new church, and we came across your church, and we've got some kids and stuff, and we actually have a daughter with special needs, and we're just kind of looking to see if your church is a body that we can join up with and stuff." When they hit that reply, somebody needs to be receiving that. So if the pastor is receiving that, and then the pastor can reply and say, "Hey, we have several families in our church that have kids with special needs. In fact, I want to do an email introduction with the person who's in charge of our children's ministry, and they can help explain." You see what I'm saying? We're beginning a relationship here. You see what I'm saying, Justin? That a relationship is beginning through this email that can then be fostered into a friendship that can then be fostered into maybe them joining that body. So the what the lead magnet is kind of irrelevant. It can be something that changes over time. When you go to the Tate Springs website, one of the things that our pastor is doing, and actually our pastor is going to be joining us here in a couple of weeks to discuss this in more detail. But when you go to our website, the first thing that happens is it comes up and it says, "Most people don't know their spiritual gift." We offer a live workshop to help you learn how God's gifted you so your life can make a world-changing impact. If you stop and think about it, one of the things that we all have inside of us is a desire to make a difference. And that's what this speaks to, the desire to make a difference, the desire to use the gifts that God has given you. And you may not know what those are. So we want to guide you in that process. Our church wants to have you come to a workshop, and we'll help guide you into that process of finding out what your spiritual gifts are, and then maybe point you in a few directions where you can actually start exercising those spiritual gifts. That is a direct value that you get by coming to our website. So when you click on that, it's going to, if you click attend a spiritual gifts workshop, it takes you down where you can sign up for the workshop, and it shows you the times. We've got one on the 12th and we've got one on December 10th. Which one do you want to go to? If you're not sure, then you can click on here to watch a video where our pastor is going to talk about spiritual gifts.
Hi, I'm Jared, pastor at Tate Springs. Have you ever wondered if your life is making a difference? If the world is any different because you're in it? Irrelevancy is probably one of my biggest fears. It scares.
Get an idea what we're talking about here? That is a lead magnet. And the whole thing is to, number one, first and foremost, is to help guide that person to becoming a more effective Christian by using their spiritual gifts in the most effective way. Now, from a quote-unquote business standpoint, it begins a relationship. We get them to come into the door of our church. We've already captured their email address. We get them in here, and we can now meet them and start building a personal relationship with them. That's what our lead magnet is. If you listen to Christian talk radio, and you hear various pastors in your area that are doing, say, a half-hour show, the Power Hour or whatever it is, I know that First Baptist Dallas, Pastor Jeffress does one, and for whatever series he's doing, okay, whatever series he's doing, if he's doing a series on heaven, and for the next 3 weeks, you're going to be hearing these half-hour increments on heaven. What accompanies that is a workbook or a guide or something like that you can either go to the website and sign up and get a free copy of this guide, or you can call the radio station and make a donation and get a free copy of this guide or whatever. And sometimes they want you to make a donation. Sometimes if you don't make a donation, it doesn't matter, they're going to get it. But what they're doing is gathering that information so they can begin that relationship with you. They're doing it through the radio. They're doing it through their website. They're doing it through their podcast, etc. If you get the idea. So that is something that I think most churches need to do, is to have something that when someone comes to their website in exchange for their email address, they can get some value that is kind of aimed at them, so that if they never come back to your website ever again, they still can grow in one way or the other from a resource that you provided for them. So what, pray tell, sir, is your next one?
So number 4 for us of the day is going to be pictures of your people all over the website.
Yes.
Now, but the tendency for us is to say, well, we don't have pictures. We go outside, we snap a picture on our phone of the building, and then we put it up on our website as what we call the hero image. That's the big image that's in the background as soon as you load your website.
Well, why is that a bad idea?
Because people don't come to church because of a building. We're past that. I have never passed a restaurant and said, that's a pretty, I like the bricking on that restaurant. They must have good pizza. You know what I do when I pass a restaurant that looks interesting? I pull up my phone or I sit down at my computer and I Google that restaurant and I read what people are saying. But more importantly, I look at that website and I look at what food do they have. And if they have really nice, juicy, delicious pictures of their food, that's what brings me to that website.
Right.
And the same thing with our churches. People may pass your church and you may have the most beautiful building and the most well-kept lawn. You could win numerous awards for your lawns if that's important to you. But when people go home or when people pass your building, they're going to go home and they're going to look at your website. And if all it is a building, that shows subconsciously all you're about is looks and what your building is. We have the best facility, but we don't have any people in it because we have no pictures of our people.
There's no substance to us.
Exactly.
Right.
And Stephen Dilla, amazing. I love this guy. He spoke at that church conference last year, and he said this, and it's really stuck with me. You know, people convert to community before they convert to Christianity.
Right.
And that's kind of what discipleship is becoming, is, you know, developing relationships like we talked about. And that brings people into the doors of the church to hear the gospel. You know, we can preach to people and there is effectiveness in that. But in my own life, what's more effective is building a relationship and then preaching to them, or then, you know, giving them the gospel, you know, presenting the gospel to them. I even had a guy the other day that was like, not the other day, it was a couple months ago, but he was absolutely against religion. And, you know, we became gym buddies and we were going to the gym. And then finally the day I was like, hey, can I pray for you? You know, let me tell you what I believe. And he was like, you know, even after all that, he said, I thought all religious people were nuts, like crazy. Like I have no interest, but you finally convinced me that you're not all crazy. Like you're just normal people with a set of beliefs. And that's okay. That was a win for me to take him from that from point A to you're all crazy to point B where, okay, you're normal people. I get that you live on mission. You have a passion. It's still not for him at this moment, but you know, that was one thing. And the same thing, if we can bring that vision of, you know, the kind of people we have in our church to our website, that kind of lowers the guard a little bit. So if you say we're a church for everyone on your website, then you need to have pictures showing everyone, people from different races, people from different families, family types, people with tattoos. I mean, that's a straw man that a lot of people build, but it's true. You know, if you honestly look around and say, would this person be welcome here? Would they feel like they fit in? And if the answer is yes, but you don't show it on your website, then they won't come. You know, it doesn't matter if you say, oh yeah, we love all kinds of people. If you just have, you know, single men on your website or just buildings on your website, then a single woman might not feel comfortable coming. So you need to show on your website actual pictures of your people. And it's the same thing. If I drive past that restaurant and I look at their website and I'm like, oh man, they looks like they got some tasty pizza, man. They got all kinds of toppings and cheese. And then I go to the restaurant and they don't have pizza, I'm going to be upset, right? If it's a burger joint or something like that. So the same thing, you need to actually use pictures of your people. Now, stock photo sites have their place and they have their reasons for being used. But for us as churches, we need to use pictures of our people. So if you are a family place, you need to post plaster pictures of families all over your website, even your contact page. You know, contact page just should not just say, hey, give us your stuff and we'll call you back. It should have pictures of people on it. Every page should have pictures of something on it. Images are where it's at. You know, we know through Facebook analytics that people like pictures more than just text, and people even more love video. But for this, I'm just talking about pictures. So you need to have images of your church, basically doing church life, and pictures of your people. I interviewed a man, Brandon Swain, from For Ministry Resources. And you know what he did for his church was they were moving buildings. So they didn't want to keep using their old building pictures for their new website when they changed buildings.
Right.
Instead, what they did was they brought in a photographer and they did kind of a picture day in some I don't know if it was fields or whatever, but they were basically like portrait photography outside of the building for the sole purpose of, these are the people that are here. This is a family that comes here. Granted, they're taking pictures out in the field, but they have a name and you're going to see them on Sunday.
Right.
And so it was them playing with their kids because kids are important. It's them drinking local coffee because they support their community. And so you really want to show what people are in your church and show that they're real people. You're not just a bunch of just high-chested, high-nosed, Christians. Because if you show a building, that may be what you're giving off based on someone's worldview of what Christianity and what church is. You're just basically reinforcing that because you're not showing the actual love and connection and relationships. So a few of my favorite pictures to use are really pictures of people talking in the hallways, preferably with smiling pictures, family pictures, people picking up kids, like, oh yeah, I love my kid or something like that. In Sunday school classes, you want to get pictures of people talking and smiling and just having a good time. And then you want to use pictures of worship, not the back of people's heads. Don't use the backs of people's heads. Get people actually get their faces. It's a little awkward, but if you hire a professional photographer, they're really good at not being seen. Get pictures of people on your stage sharing, pictures of people worshiping, pictures of your volunteering, pictures of your volunteers actually volunteering. Get all of those different kinds of pictures of people just being people. Don't try to stage it to where it's so perfect and oh, look at us, we're a packed house. Because if you take a picture of Easter when you're 2 times attendance, but that's not your actual one, that's also misleading. Right. So just use a regular Sunday and get pictures of real people in your church. And that's going to do huge because I'm going to see, we're saving a seat for you. If that's your call to action, if that's your big banner on your front of your website, is that a seat that I want to sit in? That's my first question. We're saving a seat. You are welcome here. Prove it. And the way you can do that is with images. Now, video is a whole nother subject, and basically the stat is people will spend twice as long on your website if you have videos, but we're not going to tackle that today. The main thing is, and the thing that's easiest for any church to get started with is images. Get pictures of your people all over your website, pretty much on every page.
Very good. Very good. I second that. That's something that we're actually working on as we're redoing the whole Tate Springs website. I get to round this off. This is geared, my number 5 here is geared, I want to say maybe 80% towards your existing membership and 20% to the rest of the world or people looking. And I hope this makes sense. You need to have an archive on your website of all the sermons, of the sermon series, of the Bible studies, things like that. And why you need to is because I believe that your church needs to be a resource, both physically in the community, the physical building and the people that are there, but then also the things that you are producing, the things that you are making need to be a resource for the community. And they need to be a resource for the people in the church, okay? So if you're doing a Bible study on heaven, that's what we're doing at our church. Wednesday nights, Answers on Heaven. It's a big, long, very in-depth Bible study on what heaven is. So we're making that available on our website. And that series, you can go and click on the series, and then there's all the existing ones that are there. Now, as we move forward, we're going to be fleshing it out where there's going to be the bullet points, there's going to be charts and graphs and all these sort of supplementary things. But you can do this with your pastor's services with the series. And I prefer, and I think most people would prefer that this is treated as a study resource, okay? So where you're not going to have the 25 minutes of worship being a part of this, or if you do, have a mechanism where you can skip that part and get straight to the actual Bible study, because this is something that is there for people to come to and to study and to learn and to go in depth, to have their Bible sitting in front of them on, with their laptop or with their phone or whatever, and continue doing the Bible study, okay, learning, okay. They can go through the entire series if they haven't. If you have a series that was done on Paul's missionary journeys, 2 years ago, that should be on there so that they can go through that series. we want to provide education. That's the whole idea, is to provide education and meat for people to grow and take their relationship with Christ much deeper. Now, depending on where you sit as far as the tribulation and the rapture and all that sort of stuff goes, personally, I am a pre-tribulation person. I believe that Christ is going to pull his church out. He's going to claim his church, and we are going to go be with him during the tribulation. I believe that we are not appointed to that time of judgment and wrath that's happening here on earth. Now, with that being said, I'm thinking much farther out into the future. Could be a year, could be 10 years, could be 100 years. I don't know. But what I'm thinking is that if the church and the Holy Spirit have been pulled out of earth, there's nothing for people here. There's nothing. There's going to be 2 witnesses, we know, and there's going to be 144,000 new Christians that are going to go around and minister. So let's leave a resource. As long as that website is still there, hopefully it'll be there, for a while at least. People can come to your website and learn and get some biblical instruction. New Christians will be able to come and get some new instruction. Now, that's future thinking on here, but I think that's something that we should do, is provide an archive, provide a resource for people that may have never heard about Christ, and all of a sudden there's no one really around for them to talk to. That's my personal belief. Regardless, for your members, you need to have this here so that they can continue to study. Remember, church is not just the event that we're doing on Sunday mornings. We're teaching you this holistic thing. We're teaching you that the ministry of your church goes on both physically in the real world and in the digital world throughout the week. Okay, so if you're thinking like that, take all the series that you're doing, audio, video, both, and have them available on your church's website so that people can come and study and grow their relationships. They may never set foot inside the church. That's okay. Our goal is to grow our body of Christ, of course, and to grow our membership and stuff, but our primary goal is to help people grow in their relationships with the Lord, because that's the stuff that actually matters. Not how many butts are in the seats, but what is going on between them and the Lord. And if we can help facilitate that, it's incumbent on us to do it. So that's all I have today. What about you, Bub?
Yeah, Tommy had a good question. He said, does that mean that he needs to be recording his Bible study for the website?
So are we talking like, say, a men's Bible study? I think so. So
that's what it sounds like. Yeah. Because I think we're probably already, or we might, the first step would be to record our Sunday service.
Right, of course.
But should we also be recording our Bible studies?
I think so. And that's what we're doing at our church as far as like our Wednesday night Bible studies, because our pastor is going, we're doing these 1 hour-ish Bible studies where there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of meat. We're going back and forth in scripture, back and forth, back and forth. Take this, you read that. We're doing real in-depth study here. And we've got 150 or 175 people that are joining us on Wednesday night, which is great. But, we're a church of 600 on average, and they're not all there. So I say you do that. Now, it really depends on, I think, on what degree that Bible study is taking. Okay. So if you're doing a Bible study, if the women are doing a Beth Moore Bible study and they're using Beth Moore DVDs or something like that, I don't think you can really do that. You can't republish Beth Moore stuff on your website. Okay. If you're doing a men's Bible study that's being led by a person who is going through a book or something, yeah, sure, why not? If you're doing Every Man's Battle, then that would be a good one to do. I would be cautious about doing the Q&A times, because sometimes in these Bible studies or in these life groups, some of that stuff can get really personal. So I wouldn't do that, but maybe the meat of the discussion or the meat of the Bible study, yeah, I would do that. I would consider doing that. If it's something that's more formal, like a Wednesday night Bible study or a Thursday night Bible study that's happening in the sanctuary or in the fellowship hall or something like that, I would do that. Yeah, definitely. That's if people are going to come walking in and join the Bible study, why not put it online so that people can, quote unquote, come walking in and join the Bible study? You may not want to live stream it. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I think making it a resource that's on your website, definitely. Is there any other questions?
Does those Bible study anything that you're recording for your Bible studies, or those secondary outside of Sunday morning things, do we need to focus on having such a high production quality like we would on a Sunday morning?
I don't think that's really necessary, but I would say that just the most important thing is make sure you have good audio. So mic the person who's doing it. That I would say definitely whoever's leading it, put a microphone on them. And if it's like in the fellowship hall and you're using the sound system, then you could get a signal coming out of that and going into your camera. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if they can't hear, you're not doing them a service, and if they can't see what's going on, if it's like too dark or something like that, I mean, basic stuff, yes. So in just follow the basic rules. Have some decent lighting and have good sound. And be sure that you frame it up good. Don't be in the back of the room and there's this little bitty figure, way back, like you see R2D2 and C3PO sitting back there on my shelf. That's not a really good shot. Now, that's better than nothing, but dadgummit, zoom up at least. Try to get it so that there's some visual interest. Same basic rules for doing your service. Apply them in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something is better than nothing, but definitely make sure that the audio is there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that was it. That was all the questions that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, Tommy just goes into basically only have a congregational Bible study in the fellowship hall led by the pastor who passes out an outline of the scriptures he is talking about. So I think that you hit on that just right.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that outline is something that needs to be put in to the blog post for that Bible study series. So have those bullet points there. These are things that are searchable online, and these are things that the person may not have, who's there, they didn't get the outline. So if there's a chart, for our Bible study series on heaven, the pastor is talking about the 7 ages of heaven, and he's got this graphic. So make sure that is there so that they can see it, so that they can follow along with the visual aids. So and if the Bible study leader is just doing an outline with just bullet points, then do that. If they're actually writing it out, then put that there. Follow the blog post rules where you're going to have, here's this section, this section, this section, this section, because maybe somebody doesn't want to watch the entire thing. Maybe they just need to read it. Maybe they need to read the points and stuff that they're doing. Provide all that information there. You want to provide the resources for the people to study in the best way that they can. So that's our 5 points, or our 5 best practices for your church's website. What have we missed? That's what I want to know. So be sure to leave a comment below. And guys, if you're currently live streaming your services, or if you're thinking about live streaming your services, or if you want to take it to the next level, or if you want to see how you can add live streaming to your church's ministry in various forms, because there's more than one way, then go check out our free resource at easylivestreaming.com. Got a guide for you called Live Streaming for Churches the Easy Way that's going to open your eyes to the various ways that you can incorporate live streaming as a part of your church's ministry, or incorporate it into the various aspects of your church's ministries, because it's not just the primary church ministry. There's all kinds of different ways that you can incorporate live streaming in the children's ministry, in the youth ministry, in the education ministry, in the hospitality ministry, all that sort of stuff. It's really cool. So go check that out at easylivestreaming.com. Justin, thank you so much, my brother. Do you have something that you want to share with the audience here before we go?
Yes. So we are not launching, but we are giving away a new free resource. We've had so much success with the Easy Live Streaming, and we have a brand new one for websites, for church websites. So if you really enjoyed the Easy Live Streaming, you're going to really enjoy this. It's called the 7 Church Website Essentials. This is 7 Church Website Essentials. And before you think, well, I just heard 5. Now, none of these that we talked about today were in this guide. So this is 7 more new website essentials for you, for your church, where you can discover what is going to turn web visitors into church visitors. So you're going to learn how to, with this guide, you're going to get started turning your website into a visitor generating tool, because so often our websites really just become, what's the opposite of an asset? A liability.
A liability.
Right? It's something that it's something that just bogs us. I have to do this on the website. It's not really working for us. It's a time sink, and it's a money sink. So with this guy's going to get you started turning your website into a visitor generating tool for your church. You're gonna learn how to implement your solid website features that'll turn those website visitors into church visitors, and it's gonna show you how to make it easy for your visitors to learn more about your church, to get them in person. Now, this guide is really for reaching out to new people and getting them connected into your church through the website. Because remember, even if they know the church isn't there, even if I hear someone tell me this is the best church ever, it's amazing, it's done our family so good, I'm still going to go to the website and see the things we talked about today, but really see if I can get there easily. Is there stuff for me? Then this guide is going to get you started. So you can go to betterchurchwebsite.com. I know we're doing 2 pitches in one show. What's up with that? Go to betterchurchwebsite.com and get your free guide, 7 church website essentials.
Yes. Guys, thank y'all so much for watching. If you have questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And definitely take what you have learned today and go out there and change lives. That's what we're all here for, right? Is to reach people, exploit the tools, and fulfill the Great Commission. Now, go change lives.